In today's complex socio-political landscape, it is becoming increasingly evident that our societal fabric is under strain or attack, eroding from within by various forces whose motives are not always clear. These agendas that are often advanced by both domestic and international actors with ulterior motives chip away at the pillars that uphold our society, subtly reshaping our values and our norms. From the halls of academia to the streets of our cities, these influences seep into every aspect of our lives, reshaping our perceptions and challenging our traditional beliefs. The Cloward-Piven strategy, for example, represents a calculated effort to exploit the welfare system for political gain, aiming to fundamentally transform societal structures, and it is being taught today in U.S. colleges across the country and around the world. For those who aren't aware, the Cloward-Piven strategy was developed in the 60s by sociologists Richard Cloward and Frances Fox Piven, who were advocates for overloading the welfare system to the point of crisis, thereby prompting systemic change. The strategy aims to achieve political goals by creating economic and social disruption, ultimately leading to the implementation of more expansive government programs and policies. While the authors of this strategy didn't intend for their ideas to be used as a weapon, I don't think, it appears now that this is exactly what's happening. By overwhelming the system with welfare recipients, proponents of this strategy seek to create a crisis that necessitates radical reforms, thereby advancing a more socialist agenda. This approach undermines the principles of self-reliance and individual responsibility that are fundamental to a healthy society. The current border crisis further exacerbates these welfare system issues, as the influx of migrants strains social systems and resources, fueling concerns about the sustainability of our existing welfare programs. Some suggest that this influx is not coincidental, but rather a deliberate application of the Cloward-Piven strategy on a national scale, aimed at overwhelming social systems with the sheer volume of incoming migrants. Whether intentional or not, the result is the same: increased pressure on already fragile systems, further eroding societal stability and exacerbating existing divisions. Similarly, the infiltration of left-leaning ideologies in higher education reflects a concerted effort to shape the minds of future generations. Colleges and universities, once bastions of free thought and intellectual diversity, have become breeding grounds for a particular brand of activism that prioritizes ideological conformity over critical thinking. This erosion of academic freedom threatens the foundation of higher education as a marketplace for ideas. While activism has historically been a hallmark of student life, the intensity and ideological fervor of modern protests suggest a coordinated effort to advance specific political agendas under the guise of social justice. Social media platforms play a significant role in amplifying these protests, providing a platform for organizing, disseminating information, and rallying support. This digital landscape further fuels the ideological polarization, often perpetuating echo chambers and reinforcing groupthink among impressionable young minds. Indeed, the proliferation of student protests, particularly those centered around geopolitical conflicts like the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, is symptomatic of this broader trend. The economic challenges facing the U.S. further compound the societal discord and vulnerability. With approximately 40% of U.S. citizens experiencing food insecurity, which is limited or uncertain access to adequate food, and 60% living paycheck to paycheck, financial instability permeates throughout society. The erosion of the middle class intensifies these issues, as widening income inequality and diminishing economic opportunities perpetuate social polarization. The ramifications extend beyond economic hardship, as heightened financial stress contributes to social unrest, exacerbates existing tensions, and undermines trust in governmental institutions. As economic disparities deepen, the social fabric of the nation becomes increasingly frayed, amplifying the urgency for comprehensive solutions to address both economic and societal inequalities. The infiltration of woke ideology into the elementary school curriculum, targeting children as young as 5 years old, is alarming. This early exposure to ideological concepts like non-binary genders and transgenderism bypasses the developmental readiness of young minds, potentially confusing and distorting their understanding of identity. Moreover, the push for inclusive ideals addressing these issues reflects an underlying agenda to reshape societal norms and values. While promoting awareness and acceptance is important, don't get me wrong, the politicization of education risks indoctrinating students with a particular world view, potentially undermining their ability to think critically and engage with diverse perspectives. The influence of outside forces on these societal shifts cannot be overlooked. Various actors, including adversaries of the U.S., political entities, and influential individuals, may have vested interests in promoting or exploiting these divisions. Whether driven by malicious intent or genuine conviction, the outcome remains the same: the erosion of democratic values and societal cohesion. By sowing discord, exacerbating ideological rifts, and destabilizing social structures, these external forces undermine the fabric of democracy and weaken the foundations of the nation. The once touted philosophy of live and let live has transformed into a coercive demand for acceptance, where dissent is met with accusations of bigotry or intolerance. This shift has stifled genuine dialogue and replaced it with a world of ideological conformity, further polarizing society. In essence, each of these issues represents another chip in the pillars of our society, weakening the foundations of democracy, individual liberty, and cultural cohesion. As citizens, it's crucial that we remain vigilant and discerning in the face of these challenges, resisting efforts to subvert our core values and work to uphold the principles that have long defined the American experience. Okay, this was a lot to digest, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the ideas that I talked about today. Please let me know in the comments.